We've come to Monday of Passion Week. So on Sunday, Jesus came to Jerusalem, rode in on a donkey, went to the temple, looked around, determined that his hour had come. Then he left and went to Bethany. Monday, he comes back to Jerusalem and he goes to the temple again for the thing that we all know that happens when he's in Jerusalem at the temple. That's that he runs the people out of the temple. He turns tables over. He tells people, get out of here and stop selling. Why does Jesus run people out of the temple? You've probably always thought a lot of different things about that. Maybe you've thought, well, they shouldn't be selling sacrifices. They should just give sacrifices. And I don't know if that's exactly true, because we have to buy these things to be able to bring them and sacrifice them. Even the Old Testament law said that if you're not rich enough to buy a lamb, you can just buy doves and use those. Maybe you've heard that they were overcharging the people for those sacrifices, and that's certainly probably true. They probably were. But the question is not what we've always heard. The question is, what does the text say? It's interesting what the Gospel of Mark records that Matthew and Luke doesn't record. Jesus clears out the temple, and then Mark 11:17, Jesus says, "Is it not written, my house shall be called a house of prayer for all the nations?" Matthew and Luke don't include that line, for all the nations. But the passage Jesus is quoting is Isaiah 56, and that is in there. Isaiah 56 is all about how the nations are going to come and worship the Lord along with the Jewish people. All the people in the nations outside of Israel are going to come and worship. So how does this apply to the clearing of the temple? Well, understand that the way the temple was set up, you had the very center, which was the Holy of Holies. It was where God dwelt. And then you had courts around it that you could only enter based on who you were. So the court right around the Holy of Holies was for the priest. The court around that, a little farther out, was for Jewish men. The one farther out was for Jewish women and children. And then the outer court was for the Gentiles. It was where you could come. If you were not Jewish, you could come there and worship. And the people set this marketplace up in the outer court, where the Gentiles come to worship. So it'd be something like if we were in our sanctuary here at the church and we had set it up for prayer and people were coming to pray, but then we also set up some extra cash registers for Walmart here in the church. And so you got all these people running in to buy their toilet paper and their quarantine essentials, and they are scanning out, and you're sitting over here in the corner trying to pray. You're not going to be able to pray, are you? Jesus flips the tables over in the place, runs people out of there because the Gentiles can't pray. The Greeks can't worship. The people who aren't Jewish can't worship. I want you to understand today that Jesus cleared out the temple because he so desires that you would be able to pray. Because most of you watching this, if not all of you, are not Jewish. Jesus is so concerned that you would get to pray that he runs people out of the temple that you can do it. He turns tables over. He lets animals free. So pray today because Jesus wants you to.